Okay, boys and girls. So last week we did some writing. We did a writing activity, and we're getting ready to work on our informative essay. Okay, our informational essay. Okay, so with that, we have to. We're given this informational text. Okay, and so I'm going to just go ahead and go over the directions, same thing like we did last week, but that way you'll have this video to refer back to. So it says, you will now, let me go ahead and change to my highlighter. You will now review 3 sources. You will take notes, plan, draft, revise, and edit your writing. You may use your notes or go back to reread the sources for information. Now read your assignment about your informational writing, then begin your work. Here is your assignment. Your class is creating a textbook on a natural disaster to share information with students next year. Your assignment is to read these articles and write an informational article with several paragraphs that explain the natural disaster. In this writing, you will describe what happens when the disaster occurs. Okay? Characteristics, what it looks like of that disaster, and what people can do to prepare for this disaster. This article will be read by students, teachers, and sent home for your parents. Make sure you state the main idea of each paragraph and support that main idea with details from the text. You must use all 3 sources and make sure to cite your sources in the writing. State your ideas clearly and make sure you are using the informational text for the spelling. Okay, so now we're going to begin writing your informational text. Okay, so for day 1, you are going to read, annotate, and plan your sources. Okay, and we'll talk about how to do that. Okay, same thing like we did last week. Okay, then day 2, you are going to make a draft on paper and reread it. Day 3, type your writing out and make sure to watch for any edits that Google Docs is helping you make, since you're going to put this on a Google Doc. Okay, and then the last one, day 4, reread your article again. Make sure you whisper read and make sense and make any edits, because tomorrow you will turn it in. Okay, so here is we talked about this a little bit. Here is your rubric. Okay, things that we should have are, this is a 4 for a rubric. It's above grade level. Okay, this is a 3, it's at grade level. This is a 2, it's approaching. And this is a 1, which is below grade level. Okay, for each one, we're looking for, in your essay, we're looking for focus information, organization, support and evidence, and then language. Are you capitalizing letters? Are you using periods? Do you have multiple paragraphs? Okay, so we're looking for all of those. Okay, here is a checklist. Okay, we've talked about this checklist. Go ahead and use this. It's a very good resource for you to have. Okay, so what is your idea, purpose? Okay, did you do that? Double check and make sure. Elaboration and evidence. Organization, is it organized? Language and vocabulary. Conventions. Okay, so this is a very good checklist, boys and girls. And so once everything is done or almost done, you can go ahead and say, okay, let me look at my ideas and my purpose. Let me read it. Did I clearly state the topic of my report? Oh, yes, I did. So I'm gonna check mark it. Are my important ideas stated clearly? Maybe they're not. So maybe I need to go back and I need to double check. Okay, So you'll go through this checklist and make sure and be honest with yourself if you have all of these things that you're going to need in your writing. Okay. So these are your 3 sources. Okay. We've talked about these when we did this activity last week. You also had 3 sources. Okay. So this is source number 1. Okay, and then here are your notes for source 1, which is nice. Okay, so you could maybe say like, okay, paragraph 2, what was the, so paragraph 2, and then what was the main idea and details for paragraph 2. So this is a good little tool to use for organization or organizing your thoughts. Okay, this is a resource number 2. So source number 2. Okay, same thing. You have notes here, and then you have source notes that you can take here as well. Okay, and then this one is source number 3. Okay, you're going to have your little paper where you could take notes here. And then it says to bring your brainstorming page, same thing like we did last year. Create your own graphic organizer in the space. So maybe, I mean, it just all depends, boys and girls. You might have a box 1 for, this would be for source 1, and then you take notes. Okay? Oh, and then you, since you're on Notability, you can change it up, change it to a different color. Okay. Here is my important stuff that I want to use for source number 2. Okay, then you go ahead and change up the color again. And then you say, okay, this is what I want to use for source number 3. Okay, so then you're going to be taking your notes in here. Maybe you want to pick 2 things from source number 3. Maybe you want to pick 1 thing from source number 2. Maybe you want to use 3 things from source number 1. Okay, the directions say, when you go up here, what did the directions say? The directions say that, let me see, stay charted. You must use, right here, you must use all 3 sources and make sure you cite your evidence source in your writing. So you do have to use all 3. Okay, so we're going to go through here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read these sources to you, just so you can go back and listen to them. Okay, now obviously this passage is going to be about tsunamis. Okay, so this one says, why is a tsunami dangerous? Tsunamis can travel through the ocean at the rate of 500 miles per hour. They can traverse the entire ocean in less than a day. When they get closer to shore, they slow down. However, they still hit the shore at speeds of 50 miles per hour or more. They can flood up to 1,000 feet inland. The energy generated by a tsunami can flip cars and trucks, destroy buildings, and lift up giant boulders. So giant rocks, basically. It can also travel up rivers and streams once it hits shore. Tsunamis don't always cause giant waves. Sometimes they appear as a very rapidly rising tide with a lot of underwater turbulence. They can strip entire beaches on the coast. People can be sucked under the tsunami's waves, and heavy objects can be tossed around as if they were toys. Okay, so that's a very good example. So this is your source number 1. You're going to go ahead and take notes on source number 1. Okay, what did you notice? What was the main idea? What were the details? Okay, for source number 2. For source number 2, again, we're talking about tsunamis. Okay, you can take your notes here. And then there's also this area where you could take your notes. Okay, your paragraph, and then your main idea and your details. Okay, A tsunami or a tidal wave is a huge wave that develops in the ocean. Tsunami means harbor wave in Japanese. It is a result of a large earthquake that happens under the water. Tsunamis can reach a height of 100 feet and travel faster than a jet. When this powerful wave reaches the coast, it can cause a lot of damage. The earthquake underwater is caused by the Earth's plates slipping under one another. The energy from this earthquake causes the water to rise. Gravity makes this water spread into a wave and travel at a fast speed, up to 500 miles per hour, with a lot of power. Many tsunamis, about 80% of them, happen within the Ring of Fire. This is an area around the Pacific Ocean that has a lot of volcanic activity as well as many earthquakes. Scientists can use machines to test the sea level after an underwater earthquake. If they think a tsunami will occur, they will send out warnings to any areas that are at risk. If a warning is issued, move to the top of a very high building, or even better, move inland. Okay, that's source number 2. Okay, remember to take notes, and remember, here's your what you liked. So paragraph 1, paragraph 2, whatever you want to use as part of your essay. Okay, and then your last source is going to be this one. So source number 3, what happens during a tsunami? Once water is displaced by an earthquake or other cause, the ocean waves begin to quickly move out from the center of where the movement initially happened. Depending on the force of the initial event, the waves can speed across the ocean at rates of up to 500 miles per hour. They can continue for thousands of miles. At this point, the crest of the tsunami may not be that tall. In fact, in ocean waters, tsunamis may remain unseen because their crests are not that high, perhaps a few feet above water. As the waves head toward the coastline, they begin to pile up on top of each other and their height grows. As the tsunami approaches, the water actually draws backwards away from the coastline, and it may leave shallow water or beach exposed along the shore. If people are unaware of what is happening, they may find this unusual and move forward to the beach instead of running away from the powerful waves that are coming. Once the wave finally hits the shore, it will be more like a wall of water than a wave. The water will travel over the coastline and move quickly inland at high speed and with their enormous power. The height of the tsunami will be varied depending on the original event that caused it, as well as the physical features of the coastline. The waves may be 100 feet or more in height. A tsunami usually isn't just one wave. It's a series of waves with time in between. The series of large waves is a wave train. The first wave isn't always the largest in the series. People who have experienced and lived through a tsunami have said that it sounds like a freight train. Okay, so then there was this, a little bit longer this time. Make sure to label and then give us the main idea or the details. Main idea and details, I should say. Okay, so that is that. Same thing with the brainstorming, okay? You could do the exact same thing. And then once all that is done, then you can start beginning your draft. But what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to start your draft until I see what you have written down as far as your plan. Okay? All right. Have a great night.